going on? I'm super excited for today's topic. For those of you that don't know me or not familiar with me, I'm Scott Elkington, and this is Mastering Metabolism. And this is a really exciting topic for me because I'm going to be explaining my method that I used in order to transform my own life as well as my clients' lives in order to become our best selves. And it really wasn't until recently that I was able to actually put this process into simple words, to kind of defining a clear path on what it looks like. But I was on a run the other day and thinking about my journey, how far I've come, and then the work that I do with helping people along their journeys just popped into my head. I realized that we need to build up in order to trim down, and that they're two very distinct phases. So I was like super pumped when I thought of this. I wrote it down right away, and I was like, oh wow, I can actually explain my process in just one sentence. Of course, that one sentence makes a lot more sense to me because I've personally been through the process. I've also taken people down this process. But after today, you're gonna understand exactly what I mean by the build up, trim down method. Basically, the idea here is to boost your metabolism. Do things that will boost your metabolism so that you are going to be burning more calories throughout the day. And what is metabolism? Metabolism is a combination of all of the chemical reactions going on inside of our bodies that cost energy. And energy is just another way of saying calories. Calories are energy. And so this metabolism that we have is always running all the time, and so there's a certain amount of things that our body needs to do just to sustain life. And then there's extra things that our body can do to allow us to live optimally if we are getting enough nutrients, if we're getting that balance that we need. So that is what metabolism is, all of the different chemical reactions that go inside of our body. So with the build up, trim down method, my goal is to optimize metabolism so that there is a less of a need to restrict calories. So this gives the body more energy, helps us to be more active through our bodies being more nourished, and this also improves our mental and our physical performance. Many people, they go at this healthy eating thing from the complete wrong perspective. They focus too much on weight loss, not enough on nourishing their bodies. And a lot of times, a lot of cases, this leads to people over-restricting calories, which over time ends up causing them to run a lower metabolism, meaning that they're burning less calories throughout the day just to stay at the same weight. I've worked with a lot of people who had been overly restricting their calories for a really long time, and they were stuck in a plateau, eating 1,000 calories, maybe 1,200 calories a day, and that's because since they were taking in such a small amount of calories, their body started to down-regulate their metabolism, and they ended up not burning as much, putting certain things on hold. Things like your immune system, repairing organs, skin tissue, all these different things that aren't essential right now in this moment to sustain life, but that will help you to be living more optimally. They all get put on hold. And so with these people who are overly restricting their calories, when we start to bump up their calories, the interesting thing is they start to lose weight. And yeah, you heard that right. They start to lose weight by eating more calories. Crazy, right? And that's because the difference in the amount of calories that we increased versus the amount of calories that the body started burning in excess is higher. So the body is burning more calories because it has more energy available to it to do more work. So that's the crazy thing is these people who end up living in this lower metabolic state end up kind of shooting themselves in the foot because they're trying to do a good thing by having low calories, but it ends up stunting their metabolism and causing them to get stuck in this diet mentality and this low metabolic state where they just can't burn enough calories and they're not taking in enough food. Basically, once the body gets those calories, it ramps things up, and we end up burning more calories than the food that's put in. So in short, overly restricting calories is something that we want to avoid. We don't want to stunt our metabolism. We want to do whatever we can to actually increase our metabolism and burn more calories throughout the day. And so things that happen when we lower our metabolism through overly restricting would be we burn less calories throughout the day. We feel tired all the time, even when we get a full night's worth of rest. We tend to kind of be less active. Our body's really smart. It knows when we're not taking in enough energy, and so we tend to just be a little bit more lazy when we're not taking in enough nutrition. You could also end up with weight plateau or weight gain while you're also having like this low amount of food that you're taking in. We could also end up with thin hair, brittle nails, dry skin, and a stunted immune system, all because we're not taking in enough calories. So this is where the build up, trim down method comes in. It's the complete opposite of restricting. It's actually nourishing your body and developing all the habits that are going to boost metabolism. And so it takes place in two distinct phases. Phase one is the build up phase. We're building up our muscle strength, we're building up our nutrient stores, we're building up our knowledge, and we're building up our sustainable habits. One of the most important things to boost metabolism is to build muscle strength. Muscle is very metabolic, which means it just has a lot of chemical reactions going on inside of it to produce energy. So the more muscle mass that we can have on our body, especially those large muscles like the legs, the more metabolic or the more calories we're going to burn throughout the day. Now, I'm not suggesting that we all go become bodybuilders. What I am suggesting is that we all focus on doing enough strength training, and especially strength training the legs at least a couple times a week. So the top ways to build this muscle strength so that we can boost our metabolism would be strength training at least 2 to 4 times per week. And half of those strength training workouts should be the legs. Mostly strength training, but we want to include cardio in there too. Walking, jogging, dancing, cycling, stairs, whatever works for you as far as cardio and getting that heart rate up. It's very important because we are exercising our hearts when we're doing cardio. Other thing would be, now nutrition related, would be spreading your protein throughout the day. A lot of people just try to get all their protein in one meal or within 2 meals. But what they don't realize is that our bodies are constantly repairing our muscles, constantly repairing all the tissues within our body. And so once it runs out of the amino acids that it needs from protein, all the repair stops. And so the idea of spreading your protein throughout the day is giving yourself that steady supply of protein so that your body can continually repair itself and continue to grow and to get stronger. Now the next thing would be sleeping. Sleeping is super important, trying to get that 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night. And that's because our body repairs the most when we're sleeping. And so if we're cutting ourselves short on that sleep, we're not going to be getting that muscle repair. And if we're strength training and doing the cardio like I suggested, then we're not going to be able to properly repair those muscles if we're not getting enough sleep. So coming up with a solid sleep routine that you can be consistent with, trying to go to bed around the same time, trying to wake up around the same time, and trying to get that minimum of 7 hours is going to make a huge difference in your muscle repair and being able to build muscle and hence boost metabolism. And then the last one I'm going to mention would be practicing stress relief techniques, and ones that are going to be, healthy for you. There's plenty of stress relief techniques that are not healthy for you, but I'm talking about the healthy stress relief techniques. You can help to just kind of calm yourself down, try to bring those stress hormones down. And one of the most well-known stress hormones, cortisol, gets released in response to stress. It stimulates that fight or flight response. It causes us to get ready to run away from a danger. The issue is with cortisol, with these stress hormones, when they're released, the whole purpose of them is to break down our energy stores so that we can utilize that as energy and get away from the threat. And so one of the things that cortisol breaks down is muscle tissue, and it breaks down those amino acids, and it breaks it down so that we can use it for energy. Well, that's not what we want to do. We want to maintain our muscle as much as possible. And so for that reason, we really want to manage our stress in healthy ways, keep those stress hormones down so that we can keep the muscle on our body and not break it down. And so consuming enough nutrients, mostly from food, is another important component of this buildup phase, and that's because getting your nutrients from food is always best. It's packaged together in a certain way that makes it more absorbable. It makes it work more efficiently within the body. Getting your nutrient stores up is super important. I talked about protein, but we need to get all of our nutrient stores so our body can function at an optimal level, and so that metabolism can keep running, keep on going, and we're burning more calories. The issue is when people start to restrict calories too much, sometimes they're short on certain nutrients, and maybe their mental or their physical performance is going to be hurt by that because they're not getting the nutrients that they need. In general, like, how successful do you think that you would be if your mental and physical performance is stunted? If you're not performing your best, how do you think you're going to do in daily life, at work, with your career, or at the gym? You're not going to be feeling good. You're not going to be performing well. So the goal is to focus on balance and be consistent so that you can consistently get the nutrients that your body needs to function optimally. And this in turn allows your metabolism to run at full speed, meaning where all those chemical reactions are being ramped up, the body's repairing itself, it's taking care of everything that it needs to, and that boosts your metabolism. And so the top ways to make sure that you're building up your nutrient stores properly would be to follow the plate method to make sure that you're eating balanced meals. Of course, eating plenty of fruits and vegetables is super important part of that, something that way too many people miss, even though it's such an obvious thing that we all know we should be doing, but a lot of us aren't doing it. Choosing fiber-filled carbs is another important part of building up your nutrient stores. Your fiber-filled carbs are going to give you that long-term energy. It's going to give you that sustainable energy, and you'll avoid those spikes and the crashes and that roller coaster of a ride that happens when we are eating more processed carbs. And then we want to focus on lean sources of protein that have the more healthy fats. That'd be like your lean meats, that'd be your seafood, and your plant-based proteins. And then finally, we're going to build up knowledge, and we're going to build up sustainable habits. And that is going to be sustainable habits that are metabolism boosting, like your exercise routine, eating the balanced meals, spreading your protein throughout the day, getting your snacks dialed in, regulating your hunger, your fullness levels, and responding to your body. The best way to gain knowledge is always through experience. And so it's really important to just keep that growth mindset and learn from your mistakes rather than just like being hard on yourself when things don't go to plan. Remember that you are your best teacher, and when things don't go to plan, it's not that you failed, it's that you are getting feedback on what you should do differently. And so if you can just reframe that in your mind, you will no longer be afraid of failure. You'll actually be viewing failure as a way to get better. It's actually that feedback that's going to make us better next time. And then of course, these days, knowledge is not power, and that's because knowledge is not going to do anything if you just keep it locked up in your head, but application of that knowledge is the real power. If you can apply that knowledge, that is where the power comes in. There's a quote that I like to always tell my clients, and it's, first we form our habits, and then our habits form us. And so we have to be able to get in there and to do the work to build those habits so that we can change who we are. If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same results. And so if you get stuck in these habits, these old ways of doing things, you're going to continue to get those same results. And so how do you build sustainable habits? Just 1 or 2 at a time. If you just build 1 or 2 new habits at a time, you will save yourself so much headache. You will avoid becoming overwhelmed, and you'll just be able to stay super focused on what it is that you're trying to do. The idea is just keep your focus on those 1 or 2 habits. Keep doing them until they just become automatic process of your life, and to the point where you don't even have to think about it anymore. At that point, that's when you know you're ready to add 1 or 2 new habits into the mix. And through this process of slow and gradual habit development, you're going to avoid the overwhelm. And then that overwhelm, it tends to cause people to quit. Imagine if you've ever tried to follow a super strict diet before and how that went for you. Most people maybe can stick with it for a little bit, but a certain point comes where it's like you can't take it anymore, and then you just quit everything and you go back to your old ways, right? It's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to build 1 or 2 new habits at a time and make it work for you. And it's okay if something isn't working for you. Back up, find a new habit, and find one that will work for you. Basically, that's it for the build up phase. We're going to build up muscle strength, build up nutrient stores, build up knowledge, and build up sustainable habits that are going to boost metabolism. And so the majority of the work is happening here in this build-up phase. So once you build that muscle strength, the nutrient stores, the knowledge, the sustainable habits, once that has been established and you build it up to a certain point, this whole time your metabolism is slowly getting a little bit faster. And if you're really dialing in your exercise routine, you're doing the strength training, all the other things that I mentioned, there will come a point where your metabolism starts to run faster than the food that you're taking in. You're burning more calories than the food that you're taking in. Even if you didn't change the amount of food that you're eating, the amount of calories that you're eating, it's because you're building these sustainable habits, you're building up your metabolism and your muscle mass, and you will at this point enter the trim up phase, and it'll be so much easier to get lean when you have that muscle mass on your body. Keep in mind that everybody is different, and depending on your starting muscle mass, it could take anywhere from 3 to 12 months, roughly, during this build-up phase before you really start to enter that trim down phase. But at this point, the muscle that you've built and the metabolism boosting habits that you've developed are going to be doing the majority of the work. You're just going to keep doing what you've been doing. Remember, there's going to be automatic habits because you've been slowly adding them to your life, building your routine. You're just going to feel like you're going to keep doing what you've been doing, which is actually not that hard if you take this slow approach. And then your body will start to trim down and your physique will transform. And you're going to have this amazing routine that is going to be supporting you for the rest of your life, right? And it's something it's fluid. You can keep building it. And then during this phase, like I said, everybody is different. So certain people may benefit from slightly decreasing their calories at this point. When we know that we built up enough muscle, we built up enough sustainable, healthy habits to optimize your nutritional stores, we know you've got the muscle mass, you've got the habits, the knowledge, then at this point, we always could bring your calories down a little bit. We're not going to do it a lot. We're just going to bring it down a little bit at a time, and then we're going to track and we're going to watch, see what happens with your weight trends. So like I said, the majority of the work is happening during this build-up phase, and a lot of times during this build-up phase, people can get impatient and frustrated because it's likely you're not going to see changes on the scale, but you are going to be seeing changes in your muscle. You're going to be seeing changes in the habits that you're doing, your daily routine, and even the thoughts that are going through your mind. You're going to be seeing those changes. This method, it does take more patience, a lot more patience than a lot of the quick fixes that people are offering out there on the internet. But that's because this is sustainable. This is meant to set you up with a routine that you love to do. You're going to be able to eat food that you love. You're not going to be restricting and fixated on all the food that you can't have. This is not that. And because we're ramping up your metabolism, we're getting you in this performance mindset, we're getting you out of the restrictive mindset, this is going to be completely different. The best part is you are going to feel amazing because your body is well nourished and you're stronger than you've ever been before. So you're going to have more energy, you're going to have more will to get out there and to do more things, further increasing your metabolism. That's how this works. It kind of has like that domino effect. As soon as you start to ramp up your metabolism, you start to feel good, you start to get out and do more, you have more endurance to be out longer, to do the things that you love for longer, which, like I said, will increase your metabolism. And so that's the build up, trim down method that I've used successfully to transform my life, as well as a lot of my clients' lives through this ongoing nutrition coaching that I do. Now, I know I just explained a lot, and it is totally normal to be overwhelmed, but remember that this process doesn't happen overnight. It shouldn't happen overnight. It should be a slow and gradual process where you're slowly building new habits into your routine, and over time you're going to build up your metabolism to the point where it's going to be working for you and not against you, as is the case when people over restrict. And so that's the beauty of, hiring a coach like myself with the knowledge on how to boost metabolism, how to build sustainable habits. It just makes this process so much easier and less overwhelming, because all you have to do is focus on the 1 or 2 habits that we've decided that is going to be the best for you to work on at that point in time. And so you will just be focusing on that until it's an automatic process. You won't have to worry about looking at the whole huge journey ahead of you. You will just have to slowly take these steps as we go. And then once they become automatic, the next 1 or 2 habits will be ready, and we will just have you working on those, dialing those in, and we'll just rinse and repeat this whole process. And then by the time a few months goes by, you're going to have a ton of habits built up that are going to be working to increase your metabolism and to really help you to burn more calories. You will not be restricting, and you will be trimming down much, much easier. And you'll be a lot happier mentally as well, because you won't be restricting, which tends to cause you to obsess over foods and kind of miss the foods that you're restricting, right? I mean, we're just human. We are attracted to whatever retreats from us. So if we are taking things away, we're taking away pizza, but we love pizza, we're going to be attracted to the pizza. We're going to want it. Once we get it, or we finally give ourselves the permission to have it, we're not going to be in control. And so the idea is to allow yourself to have the pizza, make it part of a balanced diet, make it part of a balanced meal, and that way it'll be much healthier mentally. It'll also be helping you physically, and you will be using that to boost your metabolism. Part of it is just being able to work your favorite foods into this build-up phase and learning how to pair foods together, and learning how to do forms of movement that you enjoy, that you actually like to do. And so discovering that. Maybe you don't know what you like to do yet that's active. And so, but once you find it, and once you're able to figure out how to include all of your favorite meals into your eating plan, that's what makes this plan sustainable. That's what makes it easy to follow, and that's what makes trimming down an easy process. I often call it like a choose your own adventure approach, because no 2 clients are the same. What works for one person is probably not going to work for the next person. And so the idea is choosing the things that work for you, building your own personalized routine, because you are an individual just like I am. And so it's all about finding your own way. And that's what I do, is I help people find their own way, how to make it work for them. And so if you are interested in learning more about how I can help you to implement this build up, trim down method to boost your metabolism and to help you to build up the nutrient stores, build up your muscle strength, build up your knowledge and your sustainable habits, just shoot me a DM or drop a comment below, and put the word boost my metabolism, and we can have a conversation about what that might look like for you and how I can help you accomplish that. And so remember that nourishing your body is going to always beat deprivation all day. So we want to focus on building up first and then letting our metabolism speed up, and then it'll catch up to the point where we will start to trim up with ease. And you're going to build this as a routine. And so that's all I've got for you guys today. If you found this information valuable, drop a line in the comments. Just let me know, like, what's your big takeaway from today's training. I'd love to hear what people are getting out of this. And until next time, all right, peace.